Hello, everybody. My name is Diplomat, and I want to go ahead and just very quickly discuss this because I need to go ahead and get into a stream. But yeah, we need to talk about the Prole. And the reason why is because the early game sucks. Sometimes there's just nothing that you can really do, or it just takes a very, 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 very long time, usually very tedious, and it sucks. It is terrible. It needs to be reworked. At least some of it does. Now, here's the thing. Some of these are fine. Metalworks works pretty well on its own, right? Like, everybody likes Metalworks. But here's the problem. Look over at Fishing and Ration Factory, right? This can become inactive. Like, rations will literally not be available for crafting. Like, you can't use the terminals, you can't deposit fish into the blades anymore. It just goes away. So that needs to be fixed, first of all, because it just removes a whole activity for the player to do. And on top of that, it just isn't a very good feature, in my opinion, for the player. Distillery. This requires fuel, much like the metalworks, right? But here's the difference. You need to collect crops. Each crop weighs about 5 kilograms, each sack, rather. And 5 kilograms is quite a lot. It means that you can only have roughly like 5 when you're just starting out and what you're doing. And also, sometimes it may not even have fuel in it, because distillery, along with metalworks, sometimes they both just can't have fuel in them. Sometimes it takes a long time for you to actually be able to get fuel in them, which means that distillery and both metalworks can become inactive at the same time, taking out 2 pivotal roles for getting amnesites, right? Which just leaves you with, like, laundry over here. Or, you know, if fishing and ration factory are available, you can do that. But sometimes it isn't available, so then it goes away. Then you can't do fishing or ration factory, right? Because sometimes it can become inactive whenever it gets full. Wartime Factory. As soon as Wartime Factory happens, everybody bum rushes Wartime Factory because it's just a ton of anamnesites. You get a ton of anamnesites from Wartime Factory, and there's just no reason not to do it whenever it appears. So there is something that has to be done in between all of these to make them a bit more appealing. The biggest thing to me is a common theme I've noticed of sit around, do nothing. Or rather, sit around and do something that's basically nothing disguised as something, if that makes any sense. Like, if you actually look at what it is you're doing as all of these jobs, majority of the time you're sitting around doing nothing. Metalworks, even when you're mining, you're actually just sitting there staring at an object. You're just holding left click. You're not doing anything. Fishing and ration factory, you're just sitting around, you're waiting for fish to spawn, and then you hit the fish as soon as it spawns, and then you collect it. Once you go to the ration factory, you do the terminal and you do some math, and then that's all you do. You just sit there. Distillery, you sit there and you wait for the actual, like, distilleries to make the alcohol. When you're at the greenhouses, you wait for the crops to grow, and then you collect the sacks. So you just sit around, you do nothing. Wartime Factory is pretty much the only one that almost makes you feel like you're doing something, but it's still nothing disguised as something. And then laundry is literally, like, you might as well be doing nothing. Like, you'd be better off looting or doing anything else other than laundry, or just steal the laundry of people that are doing laundry. But I would love if there was a third option, right? Some sort of third option up here. And in this third option, it involved some sort of scavenging. Scavenging. There we go. Because with this, for example, maybe it could involve directly with the looting system, so that there's more to do with wood and all these things that you get a hold of. You can trade them in to get a little bit of money and also get a bunch of anamnesites. Or maybe you craft up items at workbenches and you sell them to, like, some sort of stockpile for the Cortex, right? And then you make anamnesites and money from that. And it would be a bit more of an active role of going around the map and learning more of the map while also making anamnesites. I think there should be a third, like a sixth option here. Something involving the scavenging system, finding items and doing that. I think that could be very, very good. Besides that, I think an easy fix for distillery, make it so that crops can be grown in pots. Make it so people can grow different crops in pots. so that they don't have to be so reliant on the greenhouses. Because another thing is each greenhouse only has 4 crops that you can grow at a time in each one. And if there's a lot of players, you'll often be fighting over the crops inside the greenhouses. So it would just be better if pots had another purpose. They wouldn't get thrown out so often, and you could also find the seeds and use them. On top of that, I would also make it so that the vegetables that you grow, or whatever it is that you're growing to do the distillery or whatever, you're able to use them as fuel in refineries. So you have another way of making biofuel. That would be pretty good. Fishing and ration factory. I would just make it so it never goes inactive. There should be no reason that the factory closes and doesn't accept fish anymore. It should always just be available, so that way people can always make anamnesites from fishing. I would also make it so fish spawn a little faster. That would be my change. Wartime factory, I wouldn't change it. I think it's fine as is. Metalworks, I don't think there's really a good way to change it. I think it's fine as is, because it is admittingly one of the better ones you can do when wartime is not active. So I think Metalworks is fine for the most part. Laundry needs to change. Laundry is not fun. It is not good, and oftentimes you don't even get enough anamnesites to warrant the effort you're putting in. You'd be far better off doing many, many, many of these other options here, right? You'd be better off doing any one of these than you would ever be to do laundry. So don't ever do laundry. Anyway, I actually just wanted this video to mainly be like a talking point to hear other people's thoughts, because I really think that Prole needs to be changed somehow. Like, something needs to happen to Prole, because as far as I'm aware, the beginning of the game is really bad. Like, if you look at the doctor, for example, like a corpseman, if you go around, or sorry, the corpsman, if you go around as a corpsman and you heal just a bunch of random people for only one little smidge of health, you're going to make so many anamnesites in so little time than if you did any one of these. If you did any one of these things, you will make less anamnesites than just a corpsman doing corpsman things, right? Just from healing people, you make a lot more anamnesites than if you do any of these things. You just make so much more. So to me, it's a little unfortunate that the very beginning role, the Prole, kind of gets shat all over when it comes to the early game. Especially since a new player who doesn't understand at all of anything that's going on, like, God forbid that you have to try and get a new player to understand what's happening in this game, because it takes a little while. There's a little bit of a learning curve when it comes to a lot of these, especially distillery. Like, new players never understand distillery immediately. Wartime factory, it's a little bit easier to explain. You tell them to whack the little device, right? Fishing and ration factory, it's kind of confusing. Most of them don't know that you have to fucking whack the fish, give them straight up blunt force trauma in ANEURISM in order to actually collect them. So that can sometimes be confusing. Metalworks, they don't know that they can do it with a pipe. So that can be confusing. It's a little bit better now that you have the receptacle for getting, the pipe. It kind of gives a little bit of like a self-explanatory thing. You know, somebody who's a little thinky up here, they know just from getting the pipe that, oh, maybe I can mine with this because it's at the metalworks. It's near the mines. Maybe I can use the pipe for that. But also maybe not, there are some people that just don't get that stuff right off the bat, and that's okay. Mainly because they probably just never played a game like this before. Laundry definitely just needs to be changed. Okay, please change laundry at the very fucking least. This needs to be changed. Distillery, probably some light changes. Do some changes to fishing and ration factory. Make it so fish spawn faster. Make it so it doesn't become inactive. Make it so you can grow crops in pots. Yeah, this is the end of the video. Sorry, I'm a little deranged.